please stand? You may now be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? In behalf of the family, Sean's family, we just want to say thank you for being here. And really, we're here to celebrate a life, right? A life of, sadly, when I hear stories about Sean, it's almost as sad that I didn't get to meet him. I hear stories about him being a black belt in Taekwondo, and he later got it right and practiced karate. And he became a third-degree black belt, a lot like the guy who's behind the mic. I was a third-degree black belt at one time. I hear stories about a devout father who loved his children and was patient with his child. And he loved computers. That would be great because I need someone who loves computers. But a life of a giving person who dedicated their life towards giving towards other people. So thank you for taking your time out for being here, and may God bless you. Let's open up with remarks from Emily Brauen, please.
Dear Daddy, I miss you more than words can express. Life already seems like less of a life without you here. When you left, you took a piece of my heart, but I know I'll get it back when I see you again. I wanted to thank you, Daddy, for giving me some of the good qualities I always admired about you. Thank you for your silly dad jokes, your happy smile, and always teaching me something new. You gave me all I ever needed because you gave me love. And by giving me love, you shaped me into the person I am today. You helped raise Ben and I exactly how we needed to be, and set the foundation for who we're going to become. It's not fair that you don't get to see it, but as much as I would like to turn back time, I can't. Life goes on, and time can only move forward. Yes, you were taken too soon, but I feel incredibly honored to call you my father, and to hold happy memories from the 10 years of my life I got to spend with you. When Ben and I think of our favorite memories, we think of you tucking us in every night and getting us our favorite candy whenever you got the chance. We think of your Pillsbury Doughboy laugh and how it can make us all laugh too. I think of long drives with the windows rolled down and blasting old rock music. I think of everything Apple, your sweaty old hats and big work boots, and you always trying to fix your car. Ben thinks of your beard and how it makes you look like a lumberjack, and the times you took him to NASA and Chuck E. Cheese. He thinks of curly fries from Jack in the Box, cherry limeades, big sweatshirts, and old Legos. He thinks of flips in the pool during summer, you taking him to see the trains at the railroad, seeing your big glasses, and long rounds of Uno during our trip to the beach. But most importantly, we think of how much you loved and cared for our family. You may be gone, but getting to be with you, even for the short time we had, was enough to feel a lifetime of love. Thank you.
Next remark from Michael Olin.
Hi, it's Sean's uncle, Kathy's brother. I'm going to do it. I usually refer to myself as Kathy's much, much, much younger brother. She asked me to come up here tonight and tell a few stories about Sean, for remembrance. One of the earliest stories I have of Sean is when he was about 3, and they were visiting us in Michigan, and it so happens it was Christmas Eve, and our neighbor next door, his grandkids, were there, and they wanted to see Santa Claus. So Santa Claus went over there, enjoyed that. And on the way home, he says, well, you know what? The kids are at Grandma Lynn's house. So he jumped in the sleigh, went over to Grandma Lynn's house, ho-ho-hoed his way in the door, and Sean was on the floor probably writing code. And his little eyes went just like this, and he said to Mom, he's a big one. I wasn't quite that way then, but that's another time, which is another Christmas story, because the Michigan Olins were down in Findlay, Ohio, visiting Christmas, and Kathy, as she did almost every Christmas, she's a great baker, so she would make rolls, cinnamon rolls, jelly rolls, whatever. And Sean, if you know Sean, he was sitting at the end of the table, and he was reading the funnies. Now, Sean focuses, just total focus. He was in a box. And so we're all sitting around the table. There's about 10 or 11 of us, I don't know. And we're just stuffing these things in our face like you wouldn't believe. And so Sean gets through reading the funnies. The box comes down, and he looks at the middle of the table, and there's an empty plate there. And now you got to understand, we come from a big family. We had 6 kids growing up. And he says, Mom, where are the rolls? She says, Sean, they're all gone. Well, we taught Sean our family mantra, if you will. Sean, there's 2 kinds of people in this family, the quick and the hungry. It's an aha moment for Sean. Just another short one. We were in Louisiana for my son's wedding, and everybody's sitting by the pool, and it's really hot. And so Sean, I think Sean might have gone for a beer run all by himself, or he went with somebody else. But he comes back, and somebody said, well, "Did you get the beer?" And Sean says, "Yeah, we got a 16-pack." You guys didn't get that one, did you? Okay, that was classic Sean. Now, what I think is very important, and I think Barry's touched on it. We're here to celebrate a life, and we celebrate a life by memories, either verbally or talking or mentally. And it's very important for you, too, to celebrate your dad's life. Okay, that's it.
Amen. Shannon, may you please? Shannon Barron.
Her friend Laura is going to speak, I believe.
Okay. Reverend Laura.
This is a poem selected by Shannon from an unknown author, One at Rest. Think of me as one at rest. For me, you should not weep. I have no pain, no troubled thoughts, for I am just asleep. The living thinking me that was is now forever still. And life goes on without me now, as time forever will. If your heart is heavy now because I've gone away, dwell not long upon it, friend, for none of us can stay. Those of you that liked me, I sincerely thank you all. And those of you who loved me, I thank you most of all. And in my fleeting lifespan, as time went rushing by, I found some time to hesitate, to laugh, to love, to cry. Matters it now if time began, if time will ever cease. I was here, I used it all, and now I am at peace.
For those who have a program, the eulogy is before you. I'm going to read some of it. What happens when you pass a 40 threshold? Sean was born on Thursday, July 27th, 1978, in Finland, Ohio, parents of Tom, Thomas, Catherine, Kathy, Brauen. He passed away on Wednesday, February 28th, 2018. Sean was a resident of Katy, Texas, and he worked in the software industry, most recently for Travis Software in Houston, Texas. Sean attended Texas A&M University and graduated from the University of Houston with a bachelor's in science and computer technology. Sean was a devout father. I hear that so many times. It must be the truth. And he was deeply devoted to his son Ben and Emily. Again, he held the title of Cub Scout Dad and Bengal Brigadier Father. I think I butchered that. I don't know. He was a black belt in Taekwondo. Then he became a third-degree black belt in karate. You got it right the second time. If you ever practice karate, you would understand the sort of a joke right in there. And I'm sure you would enjoy it. He enjoyed watching football. He loved science fiction. And this is strange because he loves Star Trek and Star Wars. Not too many people. Most people either love Star Wars or Star Trek. And then they fight each other. He watches documentaries. My wife will appreciate that. Loves reading about World War II. Sean enjoyed grilling and baking, and he enjoyed fix and do-it-yourself projects. He loved animals. Sean is survived by his wife Shannon, children Emily and Ben, parent Thomas, L. and Catherine A. Buren, of Richmond, Texas, sister Megan Buren, uncle Michael J. Olin, and wife Lynn Olin, uncle Timothy Charles Olin, and Kevin P. Olin. Irish guys, aren't y'all? Mary A. Olin and cousin Patrick J. Olin and Brian M. Olin. At this moment, let's have a musical selection by Brendan and Lisa. It's Good, Good Father. I would like to open up the floor and have an invitation. Anyone that would like to say something about Sean, you're welcome to come up and do so.
My name is Sean Vignair. I haven't seen Sean in about 9 years. However, we were inseparable for about 7 years. We lived together. We taught martial arts together. We did everything together, inseparable. I wrote something down because I didn't know if I was going to be able to do this. So bear with me a second. Sean and I met in 2002, and our friendship was something that just happened. I had just graduated from college and moved back to Houston to teach karate. Sean was already teaching at the school. I needed a place to live, so we rented a house together. From day one, Sean and I became best friends. However, we were completely different people. I was the outgoing, talkative one, and Sean was more introverted. However, we taught a lot to each other about life. The next year, Sean bought a house, and I moved in with him. His sister Megan moved in with us. We taught karate every night together, Monday through Thursday and Saturday mornings. We spent every weekend together. We bought motorcycles together. We had road trips with Todd. We went to Banff, Canada, and learned how to ski, or fell down the hill more than anything, with my wife Heidi and Carolyn. We took our black belt test together up in upstate New York. And on top of that, we got drunk a lot and shared our dreams and expectations of what we wanted in our life. And yes, Sean would always just buy enough for him, always. I soon thereafter met my wife, Heidi, and Sean met Shannon in 2007. I remember exactly when I first heard about Shannon. We were in Banff skiing, and he wanted to stay back at the hotel and talk to Shannon on Skype. And I said, "What are you doing, dude? We're going to go to dinner." And I knew then that this was something special between him and Shannon. In 2009, in January, Sean and Shannon were married. By that summer, they were moving to San Antonio. That January, when they got married, me and Sean, really, due to the fact that both of us were married, we stopped teaching together. We hadn't, our friendship kind of dissolved a little bit. And we stopped talking. And that's been 8 years. Just a few days ago, when I received a phone call from Miss Kathy, she calls me every once in a while about school stuff or karate stuff. I never expected to hear the news. I went to Mr. Tom and Miss Kathy the next day and gave my condolences. Even though I haven't spoken to Sean in over 8 years, it was like a dagger ripping through when I heard the news. I lost one of the closest people that I'd ever met in my entire life. I wish I would have reached out to Sean during the last 8 years to tell him how much he meant to me. Little a little bit at a time right now, I feel that that's what I'm doing. So thank you guys for hearing this and listening to me. Please don't let disagreements come between your friendships. Tell your family and your friends just how much they mean to you. Hug them, because you never know when you won't be able to do it again. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Alicia, and I am a god sister to the white children. Pretty much we call them family. Sometimes you choose friends over your own blood. Anyone have that problem? Anyways, I just want to stand up here. Sean was a great guy. I do think, Sean had some good words for us. Just you never know what tomorrow holds. So, in their song, Tell That Someone That You Love, just what you're thinking of if tomorrow never comes. It's very unfortunate that we find ourselves in this situation. I think we all are looking back thinking what we could have done, what we should have done, what we could have said, what we wanted to say. But Emily and Ben, your daddy will always be with us. All right. We are here for you. Shannon, we are here for you. I could not get up here and just rave about what a terrific father Sean Brauen was. And Kathy and Tom, what an amazing child. Megan, what a great brother. I'm so happy to see so many people in here who are able to share that joy and that love that we were able to have in our family. So if you'll just bear with all of our families and keep us in your prayers, especially the kids, and we're going to need them. So thank you for being here. And all right, thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Blake, and Sean was my best friend's dad. And
Now, Blake wouldn't say, he just remembers how much fun he had and how funny Sean was and how much he played with them as well. And he just want to let Ben and the family know that he loves them, that he cares about them. We're going to still have a lot of fun together. All right?
Anyone else?
Hello all. I'll try to make this very brief. If I'm able to do it, I worked with Sean for the past 3-4 years at Travisoft. The past year, he and I were on the same functional team. And there are 4 observations that I had made about him. Number 1, he was very odd. Number 2, he made very strong coffee. Number 3, there was always a bowl of chili on his desk from last week that he never cleaned. Number 4, he was a great dad. And number 5, he had a great playlist on Pandora. I'll touch on those last 2 briefly. During the summer, there wasn't a day that, at least during the week, that there wasn't a phone call to his daughter, which began with, "Hello, sweetie." And I have a 10-month-old daughter myself. And although I barely got to know Sean. He was the last however long that I worked with him, he opened up a little bit, and he taught me a great deal about being a dad. I'm still very new at this. I'm only 30 years young. I've got 2 kids, but I learned patience, trust, and caring from him in 3 years that I worked with him, which leads me to my last point about his Pandora playlist. One day I made some comment to him about, why don't you use Spotify? It's free. You can pay for all the stuff. He's like, no. I spent so many years crafting this thing to where it's perfect. I don't have to skip a single song. And it got me thinking. I was looking at the video on the website, and what he's done with his life is he has left behind the perfect playlist for y'all. He is a great model of a dad. And like I said, in the short time that I knew him, it sounds like I would have been great friends with him, because if he drank beer by himself, then that's my kind of friend. But in the short time that I knew him, he was somebody that I can aspire to be and somebody that inspires me. So.
Tall one, wasn't he? Because of time restraint, if you have something to say to the family, let's just say it towards the end. And I would encourage you to use wisdom, that if you don't know what to say, just hug them and just be quiet. Just hug them. Just be there. I would like to close with a story. Hopefully it would add some perspective, because sometimes we want to know what's the next step, right? And this story is about a Old Testament character. His name is David. Everybody's heard of David. He's even mentioned in the Quran as one of the great prophets. Even when Matthew wanted to prove the lineage of Jesus Christ, he mentioned him, that it had to come through the lineage of Jesus Christ, right? But David made a mistake. Well, he made a lot, but he made a mistake like all parents do. All humans do. But David got so comfortable in this mistake, God had to send someone to tell him, dude, you made a mistake. He just got comfortable, you know? And God sent a trusted friend named Nathan. And I guess the friend knew him so well, he set him up. His friend said, yo, look. Yeah, you'll hear me paraphrasing some. But Nathan said, dude, check this out. Here's a story. There's this guy that owned a lot of lamb. And then there was this guy that just owned one. And then he entertained company, and he stole from the guy that just had one lamb that was so close to him. Now, let me give you some context with that. In those days, kings would have lambs as pets close to them. So Nathan knew how close the story was to David's heart. And of course, David's response was, as God is my witness, this guy deserves to die. Let me paraphrase that. I promise you I'm going to kill that dude. And Nathan said, well, that's you. You are that guy. So, and I invite you to read the story, because I'm trying to get somewhere here, but it's 2 Samuel 12, 1 through 13. And the judgment that David brought against this guy, sometimes we forget the mistakes we make and how prone we are to make mistakes. And we tend to judge people, forgetting how we've made mistakes ourselves, how we have fallen short of the glory of God ourselves. But God in his mercy said, yeah, you know what, David, I'm not going to kill you. The sentence you wanted for that guy is not what I'm going to have for you. But while God forgives us of our mistake, he doesn't rescue us from the consequences of our sin, right? So there was forgiveness, but there was a price to be paid. And sadly, as most of us who's been living on this earth long enough know that sometimes the just pays for the unjust. Innocent people get caught up in things, you know. It rains. If anybody here speaks Spanish, you will remember the old saying, "Justos pagan por pecadores," right? It rains on the just and on the unjust. So David lost his son. And in the process of losing his son, David, he was on the floor. He was crying. They were inviting him to eat. He refused to eat. He refused to get up off the floor. And his servants thought he was losing his mind. So when your boss is losing his mind, you know, this guy's a powerful guy, right? But you want to be careful what you say to this guy. And they were off to the corner, and they were like, are you going to tell him? Oh, I'm going to tell him. This guy's crazy right now. I'm not going to tell him. And David heard them talk, and he goes, is he dead? And they said, yeah, he's dead. And David got up, and he ate, and he worshiped God. And his servant looked at him like, dude, what's wrong with you? What, are you bipolar or something? What's going on? He said, his servant said, you were just on the floor, and now you're eating. What's going on? And he said something that I hope something to go away with. David said, while the child was alive, I prayed to God, and hopefully God would change his mind, but he didn't. See, no matter how much you fast, you can't change God's mind, but your fasting could bring you closer to God, and you could have a perspective of what's the plan of God. And that's what happened with David, because David understood that we can't bring the children back, but we could behave in such a way that one day we will see him. And this story is so close to me, as I remember as my mom said goodbye to my dad. And I saw a lady that had walked away from her faith. I didn't know my mom. I heard stories about her going to church, but never saw it. And she got up one day and she looked at me and she said, I had the pleasure to bury somebody who I love so dearly, and I lived to see that. And God has blessed me with so many things. I choose not to turn away from God in this sad moment, and I choose to turn to him. And if I could tell you anything else, even in times like this, just remember that God loves you, and God wants you to be close to him. Amen. We'll have a short musical selection, and then we'll be dismissing. God bless you and God keep you. On the way out, if you'd like to hug the family, you come this way and go out through that way. God bless you. Thank you for being here. You are dismissed.